I like to think of myself as a patient gamer. If I'm looking forward to a game and it gets delayed, I won't get too upset. If I'm playing a game and there's a part where I have to grind for experience or money, I'll get it done eventually. But occasionally, no amount of endurance can get you through.
I do sometimes question why I play video games. There's a lot of things to love about them, and depending on what exactly you're looking for, there's almost always going to be a game that satisfies even the strangest of requests. However, I'm fairly confident in the fact that very few people play games to have their progress brought to a halt by a cheap challenge. I get that some people like difficult games or difficult parts of games, but I don't know too many people who actively like getting frustrated at games. Or any part of life for that matter. I'm going to try and keep this to specific moments from games that have frustrated me, instead of general things that tick people off. Rather than traits that crop up in games from time to time that might cause some problems, kind of something I did a little while ago, I prefer to focus on cases in some games that have left me spitting fire. It's not a good thing, does a real number on your throat. Grand Theft Auto, a series that offers up a magical world full of whimsy and endless possibilities for your mind to run wild and untethered. And if all else fails, you can always spend some quality time inside a strip club or inside a prostitute. That's what any GTA game offers really, a limitless and realistic sandbox experience where you go about your business in whatever way you want. But sadly, realism comes at a price. In the real world, you can't just go around blowing up cars and shooting people. Eventually, someone will notify the police.
Realism in gaming sometimes isn't a good thing. You'll always strive to simulate a situation as accurately as possible with the hardware you've got, but things like enemy AI, as they improve, as they get more realistic, it just makes things harder for you. It's that dose of reality in the world of fantasy.
So if the police didn't turn up as you started to fill the general public with bullets, it'd be a little weird. And I'm perfectly fine with the GTA police turning up to stop whatever hideous crime you're undertaking. What I'm not okay with is them showing up almost by accident. I can't help but find it a little frustrating how easily you can gain wanted stars in some GTA games. If I didn't know any better, I'd say that you as a player are under constant surveillance by some higher power, and that almost literally the second you do something remotely questionable, regardless how far away it may be from civilization, the police will be on the scene to bust a cap in your ass before you know it. And when you have this wanted star in the corner, you can either drive around a bit and try and get rid of it, hide somewhere and hope it all blows over, or confront the police and watch things get really out of hand. These guys need to go after the real criminals, not the guy in drag on a golf course.
There are two tropes in gaming that people generally hate above all others. It'll be different from person to person, but not a lot of people like water levels, and even less people get a kick out of escort missions. So, what kind of diabolical, sick, twisted mind does it take to combine the two?
Only our Lord and Saviour, or as he's more commonly known, Hideo Kojima. Mr. Kojima belongs to a select group of Japanese game developers who like to put certain obstacles in games as a deliberate attempt to be satirical, make some sort of commentary on the conventions of other games, or just generally to be a dick. So it doesn't come as much of a surprise when partway through Metal Gear Solid 2, a game that is already a bit of a curveball with the introduction of Raiden after the opening stage, when you've got to escort Otacon's sister, Emma Emmerich, what a name that is, to Shell 1 to upload a virus and stop the bad guys. And maybe this would be okay if it was a normal escort mission. But this is Metal Gear. Emma is afraid of water, and that wouldn't be a problem if half the area wasn't flooded and filled with mines. But still, as long as you know where you're going and take more frequent oxygen breaks, because Emma's got lungs the size of a pipette, it isn't too much trouble. Instead, it's more of an issue of compounding these potentially annoying sections, where inevitably at least one of them will keep tripping you up. Emma has to be led everywhere. Her AI has no inbuilt sense of danger and won't react with any sense of urgency to any obstacle. Oh, except for bugs, she won't go near bugs. And there's even a moment where you have to provide sniper support for her as she painstakingly crosses over a rickety old bridge. It's an awful lot of unnecessary effort to go to, and even more so when she dies later on in a cutscene. Don't know about you, but I find it a little hard to care when she died so many times before during the gameplay part. Raiden should have taken a leaf out of Big Boss's book and just carried her on his neck. Seems to work fine in the Phantom Pain. You ask any gamer what the most frustrating part of the Zelda series is, and I reckon the most common answer you'll get back has something to do with Ocarina of Time's Water Temple. An area made infamous by constantly having to change water levels, delve into your menu to change boots, and having to face what some would call the hardest mini-boss in the series. Oh, and don't forget about that key. Seriously, don't do it. But Ocarina of Time is 17 years old, and if you've played it as much as I have in that time, you'll know the Water Temple like the back of your hand. However, I've played Majora's Mask, maybe even more times, but the town shooting gallery is still one of the stupidest parts of any Zelda game. This minigame is like the trifecta of frustration. It helps that it's optional so you don't have to do it in order to beat the game, but considering how relatively easy it is to 100% Zelda games, you'd be a fool not to try it. The premise is simple. Shoot the red Octoroks to get a point, but hitting the blue Octorok will lose you a point.
And your fucking mind.
What makes this minigame hard and incredibly frustrating is that you either have to have lightning fast reactions in order to hit the right Octorok in time, or a great deal of patience to fail a bunch, but slowly memorize where the red Octoroks pop up. Oh, and to get all the items from it, you have to do it twice. To get the bigger quiver, you don't have to do that much, 40 isn't that difficult to get. But getting the Piece of Heart requires 50 points. Hit all the red ones, don't hit a single blue. Holy shit.
The main difficulty of this minigame comes from the controls. I mean, they work fine in the rest of the game, but in a speed challenge like this, they're just a little slow. It's further emphasised by the 3D remake where you can do this minigame with the gyroscopic aiming controls, and it's a piece of cake. I did it in 2 goes, 2 perfect scores, not a problem. I actually 100%ed the 3D remake in 3 days. It's a little too appropriate. It's a dog-eat-dog world in Pokemon. You gotta keep searching for the strongest Pokemon so you can have an easier time of taking down whatever tough trainers you might find. I imagine this applies to competitive too. I don't know. But if you really want some powerful Pokemon, you're gonna be going after legendaries.
Everyone wants legendary Pokemon, and it's for more reasons than just because they're powerful. Since there's only one of them in a game, you feel a real sense of accomplishment when you overcome that hilariously low catch rate and claim it as your own. They're like their own trophy or achievement. The measly catch rate on a lot of these legendaries means that every ball that's thrown has a single-digit percentage chance of catching it. But if you're going after the roaming legendaries, Lord have mercy on your soul. Can't you just stay still? Like, stop running around like this and stand in one place so I can catch you. The roaming legendaries in the Pokemon series are painful. Something you'd only ever do because they're reasonably strong Pokemon. Throwing a couple dozen balls at a static legendary is a bit of a pain, but when you have to hunt down these guys, stop them from escaping, and then start chucking balls at them, you start to question if what you're doing is really worth it. And it isn't. There are breedable Pokemon with higher base stats. At least Latios and Latias get Mega Evolutions in Gen 6, but all the others? They're okay. Wish they'd stand still for 2 seconds so I can catch them without wasting my Master Ball, but hey, what you gonna do? Also, the Gen 3 raw glitch is fucking asinine. Have a nice day, everybody! Roguelike games, or indeed games with a heavy focus on luck, can be your best friend 1 minute and your worst nightmare the next. But it's fine, you take it with a pinch of salt and move on in the quiet expectation that you'll get your fair share of good luck and absolutely atrocious luck. It's in circumstances like these that your own skill at the game comes into its own. Regardless if the game's random number generator is on your side or not, I'm sure if you're good enough you can make things happen. Right? Right?
Right?
Even the greatest amount of skill will struggle to overcome odds that are massively stacked against you, and a random number generator. You might be able to go through the game without being hit. You might be able to go through the game with every challenge dictated by luck. But can you do both at the same time?
I stated a while ago that Super Meat Boy is a very clever game in how it makes a player appreciate its difficulty. And for the most part, Binding of Isaac, another game from the mind of creator Ed McMillan, manages this as well. The latter is roguelike, so your enjoyment of each session is never guaranteed, but it is still a fair game. That is until you either do a bit of data mining, look it up on the internet, or get incomprehensibly lucky. Because Binding of Isaac Rebirth, the fancy remake with lots of new things added, has a hidden unlockable character, and he's fucking absurd. Playing as the Lost is an experience that every gamer should go through. This little guy starts with no health, and at no point on your journey can you increase it, meaning you die in one hit. It's balanced out a bit by the Lost being able to fly and being able to take devil deals for free, where you can trade health for some powerful items. I don't have any health. What you end up with is a constant search for a run and an item combination that won't get you killed immediately, but with the perpetual reminder that one mistake will cost you any chance of doing anything. There are a few items in the game that can help give you some safety nets, but seriously, it's like a dozen items maybe out of over 300 total. Good luck with that. Oh, and the absolute best thing, if you're playing the Lost in the first place, you're probably doing it for the items he unlocks when you beat certain bosses with him. They are pretty incredible. Due to the way Binding of Isaac structures the last few chapters of the game, you'll have to get amazing runs with the Lost a minimum of twice, with there being a split after the 8th floor. Also, yeah, you've got to make it through 10 floors and maybe even a boss rush without getting hit, with some of the later bosses becoming miniature bullet hell games. And if you want the Lost final unlockable, you have to do all of this on hard mode.
This has been RabbidLuigi, and since the discovery of the Lost and the gradual realization from a lot of people that the character is stupid, series creator Ed McMillan has decided to give the Lost some better starting items in an upcoming update in order to make playing as the Lost a little more fun. Now, I don't have really any problem with this. It might actually make playing as him more bearable, but it means that the Lost wasn't made to be this uber crazy bonus challenge. It was made to be fun.
Want to have a say on what I talk about next week? Leave a top 5 suggestion in the comment section below and go follow me on Twitter, where later in the week I'll be compiling the best submissions and setting up a vote over there. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Hey guys, hope you like that. In the time between this video and last week's video, I've managed to reach 200,000 subscribers, and really, what can I say? Other than thank you, I guess. You guys, all of you are making this hobby something I can do professionally, and I would have never dreamt of that when I started. So many thanks. I may yet do a special video to celebrate, I'm not sure. Anyway, there's going to be a few aesthetic changes on this channel, most notably some of the art you're seeing right now, but I'll keep you up to date via Twitter and Facebook. That's where it usually happens.